friends, so today, as you can see by the title, we are going to be doing a canning project. I'm so excited to do another canning project that's not just chicken bone broth, and to start adding things to our home canned shelf. So here I'm just grating up some Parmesan cheese. I had 2 blocks of Parmesan cheese that had the rind on. It is imported from Italy. This Parmesan cheese, and I'm just freshly grating it. You can of course buy pre-grated Parmesan cheese or any Parmesan cheese that you like, but this is what I like, so this is what we're doing. I do wish I had a food processor just to make this process a little bit less painful, but I don't, so that's okay. I do want to quickly mention before we go any further though, but with this recipe, it is not, and before I started filming I was trying to think of the word, I can't think of the correct word to use, but it is not recognized by the health organizations. I don't know exactly what it is, but when it comes to home canning and home canned projects and recipes, a lot of them that you are to find in actual published books are all completely 100% safe and recognized by, is it governmental, or I don't know if it's a government, but the organization of like health and safety food standards. So in other words, like with the chicken bone broth, that is recognized as a safe product. If I were to make that at home, pop it in my pressure canner, I'm guaranteed, if I do all the steps correctly, that it's a safe product to then consume in a year's time. With this recipe, that is not recognized, or it's not confirmed as a safe product, but it was because it's cheese, or is it dairy? No, I think it's the fact because it's the cheese in it is what makes it not able to be safe, but, well, safe. But it was, in this canning group I'm in on Facebook, it was absolutely going viral months ago, and I had saved it. I'll have it up on the screen here. So I'm going to be following it. So I'm going to be following that recipe, and although it's not a proper safety standard recipe, just so many people, hundreds and hundreds of people have made this recipe, and months later, like this was all went viral about 6 months ago at the start of the year, and that opening up, it's perfectly fine. So it's just one of those recipes you do just want to be mindful of, that if you were to do it, to just check it. But even with my chicken bone broth, or although that's all I've really canned, but anything I'm going to can, no matter if it's like has a title of being a safe standard recipe, you still want to just check that. So I did want to just check that out here in case if that, I don't want to add that to the end and then people that don't want to do it or stick to all the safety things. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that here in the start, that it's not, I can't think of the right word, but I hope I'm making sense. But anyway, we're going to give it a try, and I am so excited. I love chicken Alfredo. There is cream cheese in this recipe. I did make this recipe on a much smaller scale, just so we could have it for dinner for one night. A few months back when this was, sorry if you can hear the rain and the wind and stuff, but when this was trending, so I did make it just to see if we like it, because I don't generally use cream cheese in my chicken Alfredo. That's definitely not traditional, but it's delicious. So we like it, and that's why I wanted to do a very much smaller scale, test it out, see if we like it, rather than just adding in a different ingredient than what I would usually use, making such a big batch, going for the effort of doing this, and not liking it. So we absolutely love it. I absolutely love it than my regular chicken Alfredo. So I'm really excited to get this stuff just done in a big batch, and then we have it on our shelves for months to come. Okay, so I've got the recipe on my phone here, but because it's in quarts and ounces, I don't know the exact what we need. So, hey Google. Okay, 1,892 milliliters. So I got my pot on medium heat. We need 1,892. I'm gonna say 1,000 900. So we got 1 6 is 6, 2 6s are 12, 3 6s are 18. So that's 1,800. And then just a bit from that. So we got 1 600 ml going in. Number 2, so that's give us 1,200, and this is the cream. 1 6 6 2 6 12, 3 6s are 18. So number 3, that gives us 1,800 milliliters. And then 100 mils, this is in 600, so just 1/6 of this container. That will do. On medium, heat cream and butter until butter is melted. And then we add the cheeses and mix. So the butter is 2 sticks. So one thing I do know is 2 sticks of American butter is 1 stick of our butter. So our butter is 250 grams. I did Google this. I think this is going to be like 5 or 10 grams or something over technically, but I mean it's fine. And I got my mountain of cheese here. I'm just going to cut this butter just so it's not one big chunk that we want to melt down. I'm just going to cut it into smaller pieces. And I'm also going to cut down the cream cheese too, so for when we add the cream cheese. But for now, this butter is going to go into the pot. There we go. So I'm just going to give this a stir occasionally, just using a silicone spatula. And yeah, we just want to heat this up. We're going to keep it on medium heat. I'm not going to change the heat at all throughout this process. And we just want all of this butter to melt. Pack up the rubbish and start dicing up the cream cheese to get that ready. But I'll just occasionally come back and just to stir this. Alright, this butter is just about melted now and it's starting to come up in temperature. So here in my bowl I've got the cream cheese and the Parmesan cheese. So with the cream cheese it had asked for 16 ounces, which works out to be 450 something grams. I have 500 gram block of cream cheese. I'm not going to use 40 something grams of cream cheese, so I just chucked the whole 50 grams in here. That should be fine. And the Parmesan, it asked for 12 ounces, which worked out to be 340 grams or 360 grams. I can't remember now, but I weighed that out. And the leftover Parmesan, because I grated up 500 grams, so the leftover Parmesan and the rind is in the bin. I mean, not in the bin, in the fridge. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we're just gonna mix this until it's all dissolved. Now on here it says for seasoning 5 teaspoons of garlic powder, salt and pepper to taste. I'm not going to add any salt because cheese is quite salty, plus this is a canned good. When a lot of times when I do make chicken dishes like this, it might just be shredded up leftover roast chicken. So yeah, I'm not going to add any salt, plus canning with salt, I don't know. You can can salt. I don't want to. So I'm just going to add pepper, and a lot of it, probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons of pepper. And garlic powder, it does require 5 teaspoons. I'm going to up that to about 5 tablespoons. So that's all the seasonings. People in the comments as well know they add nutmeg. I'm not going to worry about nutmeg, but I'm just going to leave it as garlic powder and pepper. Alright, so this is looking nice and smooth, or as smooth as it can get. I did use 2 different brands of cream cheese. I feel like one of those brands is not good with melting. As you can see, there is little tiny lumps, but I mean, I think this is as good as it's going to get. So I'm going to switch that off, pop that back here, and because this is a hot sauce, like the temperature, oh, that was a big chunk of cream cheese actually. Ugh. I don't know why some of it's lumpy, the cream cheese. It is just pure cream cheese, it's just not melting properly. But yeah, because the sauce temperature is hot, we want to get the temperature of our jars hot, or as equal temperature. So I got my jars here, which are cold. Just gonna pop them in this water. this is all submerged. The water is quite warm. And chuck the lid on, chuck it, you know what, doesn't even need to be on the stove. I'm just going to chuck it onto the bench. Oh, that's heavy. And those jars are going to stay nice and warm. But we also want the water in our pressure canner to also get to the same temperature. Meanwhile, this is off of the heat, so this is going to slightly cool. But in theory, this should be the right temperature to go into those jars, and then those jars should have the right temperature to go into the pressure canner with that water. Bringing out the baby. Just going to give this a dust just because it is in like an open storage cabinet. And I always just like to store my things with some clean dry paper towel just to get any moisture that may be left behind from when we wash this. Alright, when in doubt, always go back to your manual. So I'm just looking in here for how much water. So we want to add hot water. Normally with the chicken bone broth, the bone broth is already cold, so I add cold water. Cold product in cold jars in cold water. We're doing the opposite, so I have not done a hot pack before, which is your hot ingredient in hot jars that needs to go in hot water. But we want 3 quarts of hot water, which is equal to the lowest line in the canner, which it's kind of hard to distinguish the line, to be completely honest. So I just run my finger and then I can feel it. So we're gonna add in hot water to that line. And to this I just got some ordinary white vinegar. We're just gonna do a good glug. Maybe about 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons worth. All right, so I got my canning funnel, I got my headspace thingamajiggy. And these jars, I sure do hope they're hot enough. But we'll just shake off the excess water, a little bit of water, perfectly fine. And like I said, it still is a little chunky, but should be fine. And we're just gonna fill these jars up for 1 inch headspace. See right there, that's a big chunk. I think if I do come across any massive chunks of cream cheese, like just there, I'm just gonna discard it. Smaller chunks is alright, but alright, so with the headspace, the recipe actually didn't say on what headspace to have it as. I'm just going to go to your 1 inch and keep it on the safe side. So when I pop it on in the jar, so the 1 inch marks is sitting on the rim, it should be in line. And I do have, I'd say probably 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch in each jar. I have 6 jars at the moment. But because I am running low on sauce, I prefer to get these all topped up to the correct amount of headspace. And then we'll see if there's enough for another jar. Alright, so it's made 6 full jars plus this much. So what I'm thinking is maybe you do only need 1/2 inch of headspace. I'm not too sure. I just, played it safe, done a full inch headspace. Now I just got some white vinegar here on a tea towel, not a tea towel, what's this? Paper towel. And I got this messy, I got this stuff everywhere. So generally you just want to right the rims. I'm mostly just going to go right around the lip, just because I know I did spill it everywhere. We are then going to give each of them a brand new lid and inspecting the lid each time when we pop them on, because although they're brand new doesn't mean that the manufacturer or anything could have happened during transport or even my storage. So we still just want to make sure, because if there's any obvious dings and whatever, you wouldn't want to use that. But brand new lid on each. Rings don't have to be brand new, you can reuse rings. And we want it finger tight. So my understanding is just with your fingers, not grabbing it the whole lot and tightening it, but just with your fingers, just as tight as it will go without forcing it like extremely tight. That's my understanding to finger tight. Because I know if you've seen my other canning videos, I was a little confused with that saying. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but it's still, I just want to make sure. I'm going to grab 2 lids that I've used before. This one was for my pumpkin, which failed. This one was chicken bone broth, of course. Because I'm going to be cooking with that tonight, so I don't need a brand new lid. Because they're not going to get pressure canned. They're just going to sit out on my bench. So you can see this one I have used before. Which these rings are... And the jars are fabulous. Love the jars. They seal great. I haven't had an issue. Nothing's broken or anything. But again, I am also still new. But these rings do kind of get a little rusty. I think this one's probably been used twice. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't use it a third time. But we'll see how that goes. These 2 can just sit out. And that's fine. We'll use that for dinner tonight. And then we're going to chuck these in the pressure canner. And we'll have 5 jars of homemade Alfredo sauce. Alright, so I got my 5 jars evenly spaced. We'll lock the lid. We're going to turn on this heat. I like to start to a medium high heat until it gets going. Although it shouldn't take as long as usual because it's not all cold. It's already all nice and warm. We're not going to pop on our weight. We're going to leave this open so that can vent. And once it's venting for a solid 10 minutes, we'll then put on the weight. Once we pop this weight on, that's the starting of the pressure canning time. This recipe calls for 10 minutes at our altitude. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but we want it going for 10 minutes. So I know for my location, it's 12 on the dial. That's what I need, is 12. So stick it at 12. Well, once it gets to 12, sorry, that's when we'll start the timer. So once it's spent, we'll do a timer for 10 minutes. Pop on the weight. Once the weight is on, this dial will go up. Once it hits 12, I'll watch it like a hawk. Keep going with the heat to make it stick around that area. And then we'll reset time for 10 minutes. And then, yes, okay. We know what we're doing. That's good. Okay, so while we are waiting for this to come up to temperature and to vent and all that good stuff, yes, something you can't walk away from, but I get a little bored. So, this morning, knowing I had to wait for this, I thought we'll take out some frozen bananas. These are all nice and soft. I've strained off the excess liquid that came from them because they are frozen. If you've got fresh bananas, use fresh bananas, but we're making banana bread. Diet edition, diet friendly. So for me, no added sugar. I am using, well, I'm going to be using this sugar replacement instead of regular sugar. So we'll be adding this. And I haven't made this before. We're going to be trialing it. We're adding some walnuts just for some healthiness. And the recipe calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to be halving that. So I'm going to do 1 cup of all-purpose flour in my bowl. I'm going to do 1 cup of almond milk just to have it a little bit more diet friendly. So it's not keto. I'm not keto. It's not keto. The recipe is not keto. My diet's not keto, but it is less carby, if you will. More of a lower carb, no added sugar. That's what we're going for. That's what we're making. All right, so 2 bowls. 1 bowl has 3 ripe bananas. The other bowl, I mean, how perfect is that? 1 cup of plain flour. Good thing I decided to not do it the original recipe because I'm out of flour. I'm not out of flour. I do have more flour in my pantry. I can't be bothered topping this up right now though. So, out of flour. Adding in 1 cup of almond milk. Which I don't have enough of that. Alright, 1 cup of almond milk. 1 cup of sugar. The original recipe calls for brown sugar. But again, I'm using the sugar replacement, so we want 1 cup of that. We want 3/4 of a teaspoon of bicarb soda or baking soda. So I'm just eyeballing it with a regular teaspoon. And it is a little lumpy, so I'm just gonna break the lumps in my hand. And half a teaspoon of salt. That's all the dry ingredients that the recipe does call for. I'm gonna add in probably about a teaspoon of cinnamon, because cinnamon in banana bread is delicious. So I'm adding in some cinnamon. But with my whisk here, I'm just going to whisk all the dry to get it nice and combined. Still, of course, want to keep checking my canner, but that's fine. It's still got a while to go. My 3 overripe bananas that was frozen. That's what I do. If we have fresh eating bananas and it's like getting pretty overripe, I break the bananas into thirds and pop them in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. And they're fine for baking like banana bread. If you want to add them to smoothies, making the banana protein pancakes, completely fine. Just defrost them first. And defrosting them, I just took them out a few hours ago. And I just let them in this bowl at room temperature. And now they're defrosted. I did like pour off the excess liquid that comes out of these, but it's fine. So, bananas are mushed. We want to add 2 eggs. Quarter of a cup of yogurt. I have this Chobani Fit 15 gram protein, no added sugar yogurt. It's vanilla, Greek yogurt, sorry. It is vanilla. Yum. Quarter of a cup, this is too much, so I don't know. I guess we're gonna put in half of this. Eyeball a quarter of a cup. And then the other half I get as a treat. Let's do a taste test. Nick had one of these this morning. I only brought them because they were better than half price sale. They're like $1 something. And again, not all the flavors is no added sugar, I believe. Or maybe in the Fit range they are all no added sugar. I'm not too sure. But taste test. That's good. Yum. We want to add in a teaspoon of vanilla. I wasn't going to do it because yogurt's vanilla, but you know what? I love vanilla, so there's a teaspoon. And an ingredient I've never seen in a banana bread before, rum. I did read the comments of this recipe, and apparently this rum is like really good to add. I hate rum, but whatever. This is Bundaberg small batch vintage barrel rum. We want about a tablespoon of that. Okay, plenty. So this is the rum that we have and that I just added. Okay, it is heating up. That's the worst thing about the canner. It's just, it takes so long. But maybe I just have it on too low of a heat because I'm too scared and nervous to get it up any higher. Okay, all this wet stuff, we're going to get rid of the fork, get the whisk back and mix this all together. Oh, I don't know if I should have added that rum. I can smell it and it doesn't smell nice. I don't like the rum though. But apparently it tastes really good in this recipe. So we'll see. But this is how the wet part is looking like. It's kind of chunky and lumpy. And our dry ingredients. We're just going to tip the dry into the wet. I should have taken the whisk out first, that would have been easier, but never mind. I just washed and rinsed the spatula I was using. I don't have any clean tea towels left, so that's okay. And we're just going to fold this in. Ooh, the walnuts. Got the walnuts. I just use at Coles the scoop and weigh. Otherwise we don't eat walnuts. We only need it. We only use it when we need it. I'm just gonna get my thingamajiggy. And you can pound them down as fine or as chunky as you want. And we want about a cup of walnuts. So I just brought about a cup. And again, I just eyeball. And if you want to add chocolate chips, you can add chocolate chips or any other seeds and nuts. You don't have to add walnuts, although I do say walnuts in banana bread, and same as carrot cake. It just makes it so much more. There is like a scientific process that happens. I don't exactly remember, but it's something about the moisture from the fruit or the veggie. The walnuts just helps it keep moist. In other words, I don't know. I can look it up again, but I just want this done. And this, I'm gonna pop it in a loaf tin. Man, my battery, I don't want my battery to die. I'm just gonna pop this in a loaf tin. I'm gonna line it with baking paper, pop it in a loaf tin, in the oven that's preheated at 175 degrees Celsius. Yes, it is preheated. And it's gonna bake for about 55 minutes. So I'm just gonna put the timer on for 50 minutes and then I'm gonna check it and then see if it needs that extra 5 minutes or so or not. So now it's gonna go into the oven at 175 degrees Celsius for 55 minutes. I'm gonna check it at 50 minutes. I'll put the timer on for 50 minutes. But it is what she's looking like. Okay, so this is now venting. You can't see it in the camera because the white tile is behind. Wasn't expecting the oven to go off. I just wanted to quickly show before the timer goes off how I have it just above 11. Pretty much the highest that this dial would get was dead on 12. That's when I dropped down the heat a little bit. I kept my eye on it for like straight 10 minutes. Kept my eye on it like a hawk, and it's perfect. So in literally 5 seconds, what we're gonna do is turn off this heat. There we go. So the heat is now off. That only means this is going to slowly go down. And once this is down to 0, at the same time this dial is completely flat. So you need it both to be 0 and flat. So you want it to be both the dial to 0 and this flat. We'll then set the timer for another 10 minutes and then once, no, sorry, that's incorrect. Once that is 0 and that is flat, we can then remove this weight and then we set the timer for another 10 minutes. So although it is a 10-minute canning project, I mean, the canner was on, we made the banana bread and popped it in the oven and that's been in for 50 minutes now and the timer had just gone off seconds before the canning was finished, and technically we're still canning because now we have to wait for that dial to go down. So unfortunately I don't think I'm going to beat the sunlight and show you guys the finished product in good lighting, which sucks. But anyway, time to check the banana bread before I forget. We're just going to give it the other 5 minutes, 5 more minutes. Alright, so that's how the banana bread looks like. I've just cut it, took a couple pictures. I am fighting time for the light, still slightly warm. We're going to give it a taste test. Alright, so again, fighting the light, but the pressure canner as well, the weight is off. So the dial's completely to 0, that happened first. You still need to wait until this gauge is completely 0 as well. Just too dark, so you do need to wait for that gauge to be completely 0 as well. But I do have the timer on for 10 minutes. It's got 5 minutes to go. That's why I thought we can taste test this banana bread. It is still slightly warm. It's fine. A lot of people like butter in the banana bread. I prefer it without, so I'm just going to taste test it without. But you can see big chunks of walnut in there. Yum. You can taste the rum. I think I'd prefer without, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to add rum again. I'll do the exact same banana recipe. I just wouldn't add the rum. But otherwise, it is good banana bread. Okay, it's time. It's still gonna be very, very hot. That's right. I'm gonna need a tea towel. No. Oh no. They failed. Oh no. I will show you guys what I'm looking at. I don't know why this has happened. This was like viral and trending and everyone was posting that had such good success. I don't know what I done wrong, but I done something wrong. So, every single jar has just boiled right over. As you can see, every single one. And then same for these two too, but did I just not put them on tight enough? Or maybe I needed more headspace. And that's why the recipe said it's called makes 7. And I only had enough for 6 and a little bit. I don't know. It's still pouring. Oh well, we'll get these out and I don't know what to do. That was so much cream and cheese too. Oh, but this is how we learn. By mistakes, although I don't know what my mistake was. So if you know, please let me know in the comments below so I can learn from it. We'll get them out. Maybe they're too full. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know. Don't know. Otherwise it looks great. The texture of how the sauce is, that looks great compared to like what people post. That's what it's supposed to look like by my understanding. It's purely the fact that every single one had just bubbled over. Okay, so maybe I don't think it's a complete waste. Ooh, and now another one pinged. I love that sound. Anyway, as I'm trying to say, there's spillage, obviously. Definitely, obviously. But it's not a massive amount. I just had another one ping, so that's 3 out of the 5 so far. Okay, so at least they're sealing. So I think we're okay. We're just gonna clean up these jars. I will have to like double check the seals tomorrow. I'm just gonna let them here. That one's still drizzling out. So yeah, we'll just clean them up. Oh my goodness, look at it. It is pouring out. There might even just be the water from up there too, to be honest, maybe coming through. Yeah, that's probably what that is. So yeah, I don't think it is a massive loss. I think we're okay. It's just nobody, at least I haven't seen out of the hundreds of posts that I've seen, I just haven't seen anyone talk about the spillage.
How long are you going to tilt your head till I can put your fucking arms down? Tilty McGee.
Alright, so now while he's holding up these lights, I'm going to quickly finish. I'm just waiting for a thumbnail. So yeah, banana bread, canned sauce. This is obviously not the thing. You don't have to hold the lights, but I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, this is the one we're going to have tonight for thaw-out. Oh my goodness, my pinky though.
Oh, your pinky, interesting.
I hurt my pinky holding up that tray like that. But otherwise that's all.
Shout out the lights, by the way.
I need to just get lights, but then this kitchen's just so small. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you know where I went wrong with the sauce, I think we're going to be okay. I do think we're going to be okay. They've kind of stopped drizzling out now. There's still plenty enough sauce in the jars. I think it's fine. It's just we'll clean it up tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, if you know what I've done wrong, please let me know because I don't know and I want to learn from my mistakes. Otherwise, maybe this is just how this one goes. It's just no one really tells the bad side to this recipe. I have got no idea. But yeah, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe down below so you don't miss out on my future videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!